So let's get right into it. What makes a good captain? What makes a good leader?
I think in general, it's got to be someone that the rest of the team can look up to. If you're going to be a leader, then you need people to follow you. So if you don't have the respect of the players, then that's always going to be far more of a challenge. I think korfball is quite unique as a sport in that we have two divisions and the ball will be spent probably about 50% of the time in each division. And whilst that's happening, the coach is able to communicate with the other division.
So just to clarify, as I understand it, that on the court or the pitch, there's one half which you call division or a zone, and then there's another one which is a separate division or zone. So it's 4v4 in each division or each half of the pitch.
That's right, yeah. You have an attack and a defence division. So you'll be trying to score down one end and trying to stop the other team from scoring down the other end. And then after every 2 goals, so whether it's 2 goals for you or a goal each for either team, you swap ends. So you have to be like an all-round player, good at attacking and defending. But you can't cross the division lines. So if you're in the defence division and the ball is in the attack division, there's some time that you can talk with your teammates or receive instructions from the coach on the sideline. And then again, when the ball comes into your division, then those conversations can happen down the other end.
So how much input does the coach have here compared to the captain, for example?
The coach has a lot of input in korfball. As I said, they'll generally be communicating with the divisions when the ball's down the other end and just adjusting tactics or just like individual instructions. It's quite different to other sports. Like in basketball, you'll need to take a timeout if the coach wants to talk to players. It's always all 5 players involved in the action, so you can never really get specific instructions to players. The same with football, all 11 players are kind of involved in the play. And so those coaching instructions are difficult, whereas in korfball, you don't need to call a timeout necessarily to have those communications. So the coach has a lot of input during games. I think where the captain comes in is in training and off court, where they can really build the team. So they'll have some conversations with the coach and other leaders within the club. But the captain in korfball tends to be the face of the club. So they'll be the one talking to opposition captains before games and presenting the club's image. So I think the choice of captain in korfball is really a reflection of the values of the club or the coach in who is selected.
So in terms of those values and that front, what have you brought to that role as a captain when you have been a skipper?
At club level, I was captain at Croydon, and I was the youngest player in the second team. It's quite an aging club, so not old, but certainly coming towards the end of that rotation of players. I think the selection of me as captain was a dual responsibility. The first one was to kind of give me that confidence in the team. As the youngest player, it might have been overwhelming for me to come into that setup with a lot of experienced players, a lot of direction. And with the captaincy, that kind of gave me the level playing field within that team. It also helped externally. They wanted to attract younger players to the club. And I think the selection of a young captain showed those values and what they wanted, that young players could come into the club and be valued and make a difference, rather than being swamped by the more experienced players. At national level, I'm quite competitive, so everyone knows that I have the drive and the desire to win at all costs. But at national level, you really need to ensure cooperation. You've got people from different clubs who are usually rivals, coming together in a short space of time, not much opportunity to really develop together. and it can be quite intense. So the captain there really has to be a diplomat and get everyone on the same page. So off court, lots of conversations. I think what I brought to that role was I'm quite sociable. I enjoy just catching up with people, seeing how they're doing. And so lots of those conversations happened off court between matches or after training, just making sure that there were no issues with cliques forming. But also to give that feedback to and from the coach. The coach obviously has a short amount of time with the squad. And so when you go away from training, the conversations that happen after training are just as important for the coach's messages to get across and to relay any problems back to the coach as well.
Why is the captain so important? What can the captain do that nobody else can do?
I think their leadership and their ability to inspire their teammates. If you pick a passive captain, then that can feed through the rest of the team. They really need to be that driving force on court and set the example. They have to maintain their performance. If they're slacking off, if they're not trying as hard as they should be, then they're going to be that leader for the rest of the team, and I think it shows with the rest of the team's performance. So they have to be not necessarily the best player on court, but certainly the one setting standards.